Hi everyone, how are you all doing? In this video, we are talking about this upcoming week astrology forecast, and we'll end the video with a collective message. This video, we are talking about March 3rd to 9, 2025. My name is Natalie. If this is the first time that you're watching my video, thank you for stopping by. I hope that if you enjoy what I do and share on this channel, you can subscribe and share with your friends. So let's talk about this week. But before we jumped into March 3rd to 9, I want to rewind a little bit back to March 1st because I was going to do a Venus retrograde video, but I was feeling a little under the weather the past few days when I wanted to record it. So I kind of took a little break. And last week, if you watch my last week astrology video, one of the aspects really manifests big for me, and that one was the Mercury and Saturn conjunction, and that really kind of hit me hard by needing to have a conversation that really addressed my boundary. So it was tough with my little throat acting up as well. So that is why I did not make that video. So I would like to circle back by first talking about one of the biggest things that is happening this year, the Venus retrograde. So depending where you are in the world, Venus station retrograde at 10 degrees 15 minutes in Aries on March 1st 4:36 p.m. Pacific time. Or it will be March 2nd, 8:36 a.m. Hong Kong time, so adjust the time according to where you are in the world. Venus is going to retrograde back and all the way back into Pisces. So this Venus retrograde is going to be in two signs. First Aries, then on March 27, Venus will retrograde back into Pisces. And later, April 12 or 13, depending on where you are, Venus will then station direct at 24 degrees 38 minutes in Pisces. But always remember, there's always a post-shadow phase of the energy of the Venus retrograde, and that is like what I call the final phase, the phase 3 of the whole retrograde journey. So Venus doesn't leave its post-shadow energy until May 15 or 16. So we are going to work with Venus retrograde for the next 2 months or so. It's quite a while. Whenever we talk about Venus, we of course immediately think about our relationships, which is not wrong, okay? Venus talks about our relationships, not limited to romantic though. It also talks about all our platonic one-on-one relationship, partnership. So during Venus retrograde, all kinds of one-on-one relationships, problems, or things that need our attention will come into the forefront for us for sure. And it is a time where Venus is asking us to look at those relationships. Venus also talk about money matters, our values, our belief system. What do we value and believe in, right? And Venus ruling the sign of Libra and Taurus talks about what we firmly believe it, that is in our truth, Taurus, and money matters. And in the Libra theme, Venus is actually a warrior. So many of us doesn't know that. Venus is actually a warrior. But instead of like Mars, Venus is a warrior that talks about justice and love and values. Whereas Mars is the warrior that talks about more of, like really action-oriented, like really going to war, something that is action-oriented. But when it comes to Venus, it talks about justice, right? The sign of Libra, the the scale. So during Venus retrograde, things that is unjust will come up to the forefront for all of us in our individual life and as a collective as well, for us to address, to look at, to question, and to ask us, well, then where do you stand? What do you believe in? What is your values? And how do you see all this thing that is being unfold, whether this is collective, which I'm sure we have been seeing a lot, and also in your personal life. Perhaps like some of us is going through some legal battles, you know, something that has to do relate to the justice system or so on and so forth. So everybody is in their own human story journey, so everyone might feel differently, but these are all the topics. Also need to look at the energy of the sign that Venus is retrograding in. So this time Venus is retrograding in the sign of Aries and Pisces, so those energy will be incorporated into this Venus retrograde as well. Aries is the go-getter, the fire starter, the initiator, the pioneer, right? Aries is passionate, not afraid to go first, to speak its truth, to act first. It's very unafraid. Like, you don't want to say it, I'll say it. Like, I want to get it done like yesterday, right? So Aries is this unafraid, passionate energy that is not afraid to speak your truth, to take action, right? To go after something that it believes is true, that is just. In Pisces is a yin water sign, is compassionate, is empathic, is embracing the full spectrum of the hopeful universal love that it believes in, that higher love that we all want to be closer to, right? But on the other side of the spectrum, Pisces is also that energy that can spiral down into despair and hopelessness, and it can, because of that, go into escapism and avoidance, not wanting to deal with the feelings, the overwhelming thing that is happening. So all these energy that will come up for some of us, maybe some of us might experience all of these energies during this Venus retrograde, and it is important to know all these energies so that we can find a way to balance it, to find a way to pull ourselves back when we're too far in on one spectrum or the others as well, right? As a collective, like I said, Venus retrograde will bring in all those stuff that I just mentioned about. It can bring in topics and themes that is inviting us to ponder and wonder, what do we value, right? What do we believe in? Where is our moral compass? And let it guide us to take action or to speak about things that is true to us, that we value, that we want to stand up for, especially with what is being unfolded in the collective, with what is happening. I feel like this Venus retrograde really asking us to observe what is happening, seeing it unfold, and having that compassionate side from Pisces, right? But also embrace that Aries energy, to be not afraid, to be passionate about what we believe is true, is just, is right, and take action. And this can be on a spectrum. This can be you speaking up, going to a march, you know, being an activist and speak out and take action and spread the word. You can also be creating art, music that really send that message out, right? You can also, in your own way, support it by educating yourself, by sharing your information, by wanting to learn more, by taking action in the activities, right? Supporting in the background, supporting the activists to go do their thing, right? So action can be seen in many different ways, but it's also important to remember not let the chaos to allow us to spiral down into the shadow side of Aries and Pisces energy, right? Which is to go into despair and hopelessness, thinking that there's nothing you can do, and you know, avoidance and bypass, and not want to face the truth as well. In your personal world, like I said, Venus retrograde is a time where relationships are are coming up to the forefront and calling attention from us. If there's any unfinished business in certain relationship, if there is any old story that might come up to, not to haunt us, but maybe there's something that we still need to heal from. There's still something that we need closure from, perhaps, or one way or another, they might come up. Sometimes the past come up to let us know how far we have come and how we can continue to move forward. Sometimes it is here to remind us that there's still work to be done, that it is okay as well to be not there yet, right? Everyone is on their own timeline in some way, shape, or form. Venus retrograde in Aries and Pisces is also inviting us to take a look at our relationships with our money matters, right? Money matters sometimes can connect to people as well. Is there any areas, is there any relationship that you feel like your worth is not seen, that you are needing to suppressing your need all the time to be a people pleaser in order to make the relationship last or sustain the relationship? Is there time you feel like your needs are being denied or put in the back burner? This is the time. This Venus retrograde will invite you to speak up, to maybe take action, to speak your truth. You know what? I cannot tolerate this anymore. This is not the way I want this relationship to be. Either you reciprocate in the way I desire, or this is the end. This is the time where maybe you will no longer want to be involved with people, situation that does not share the same value or belief system as you, right? This is the time where you are not going to suppress your needs. You're gonna let them know that you're not a people pleaser, that you're not someone to be just always be giving, right? You also have your needs, and you need to speak up for yourself in order for that relationship to continue, right? Take a look and see in your natal chart what houses are ruled by Pisces and Aries. Those themes, topics in areas of your life in those houses are experiencing this redo energy of Venus retrograde, asking you to look within to see what aligns and what does not align anymore. Later on, Mercury is going to retrograde in the same area, so this Pisces and Aries house is really having that double whammy energy of Venus and Mercury retrograde, really asking us to look deep within every single thing, unturn every single stone, to see the truth, to face the truth, to face the shadow and work with it, right? To uncover everything that is needing your attention, to not bypass anymore, but to look at them and work with it, right? To listen to your heart. So Venus retrograde have a very interesting cycle. Around every 8 years, Venus will retrograde in the same sign, same degrees around the same time. So 8 years ago in 2017, Venus retrograde around the same time like now, in the same signs like now in Aries and Pisces. So think back to 8 years ago, 2017. What was happening in your life? What were you moving through? Similar energies might come up, similar topics might come up. Doesn't mean it will repeat exactly the same, but from what I recall collectively, this is like mind-blowing. But 8 years ago, 2017, around this time, the same person in the United States got elected as the president. As that time, same person is being elected as a president again, and that trigger a series of events which is very, very much tied into this Venus retrograde, which is the Woman March, right? The Me Too movement, a lot of protest riots that is against the women's right and reproductive rights, which is very much Venus retrograde, because it Venus is the feminine energy, right? In Aries and Pisces, it talks about our personal conviction, you know, how we take action. And Venus talks about, you know, our embodiment. It talks about justice, right? Venus is a warrior, remember, like I said. And in Aries, it's about, you know, not taking BS and speak up your truth and take action when it's unjust. So I don't mean that same thing might happen again, but we do see some resemblance. But this is the time maybe some people will speak the truth, take action in the matters of their own hand, and to call out the bullshit and stand up for what they believe in that is unjust. Like I said, astrology is the study of history, cycle, and events. So we are looking back at what was happening so that we can forecast what's the possibility of this time coming around. Knowing what happened, knowing the energy, we can then work with it and know how we can take advantage and use this energy to take action upon things that matters to us. So also, like I said, take a look and see what happened 8 years ago in your life. You know, maybe those areas, those topic and themes might need your attention again this time around. One last thing that I want to say about Venus retrograde is that the degree point that Venus station retrograde and direct this time. So Venus station retrograde at 10 degrees in Aries, which is right next to the degree point where we will have our last Aries eclipse later in March. And the degree point where Venus will station in Pisces is exactly 1 degree next to the Pisces eclipse that we have back in September 17. So think back those time. Perhaps this Venus retrograde, not all, but this Venus retrograde might trigger some of the eclipse story for some of us in the Aries house, or maybe for some is in the Pisces house that we experienced last fall. So maybe something happened last fall might come back around during this time, right? So take a look and see if that resonates to you, because we will have our last Aries eclipse later in March as well. So this is what I want to recap on the Venus retrograde, because it is a big transit that doesn't happen often. That's why we really need to talk about it, and hopefully those messages that I've just shared will be able to help you navigate your Venus journey, retrograde journey as well. Now let's take a look at this week, March 3rd to 9th. We have a couple things we need to talk about. First of all, March 3rd. Mercury is going to enter Aries at 1:04 a.m. Pacific time or 5:04 p.m. Hong Kong time. Mercury is already in its pre-shadow of Mercury retrograde energy as of now already. So this time when Mercury enter Aries is already slowing down. So that full force Mercury in Aries energy is not exactly there yet. So you do need to be mindful of that, right? Because if you have been watching my videos, I think it was 2 weeks ago that I mentioned, I think last week or maybe, that I mentioned we are already in pre-shadow energy of Mercury retrograde. If I remember correctly, it's February 28th. That was the day that we stepped into the pre-shadow phase of Mercury retrograde. So be mindful, because some people do tend to feel the pre and post shadow energy of Mercury retrograde more. So all the Mercury retrograde things might already been happen. All the tech hiccups, issues, you know, the misfiring, miscommunication of emails or traffic delays and so on and so forth. Because of Mercury retrograde, Mercury will be in Aries on and off until early May. So we're gonna work with this Mercury in Aries energy for quite a while. But let's talk about Mercury in Aries energy. Aries, of course, is the first sign of the 12 zodiac. So it has that pioneer, initiator, go-getter energy. Mercury in Aries is direct, is unafraid to speak the truth and unafraid to stand up and speak up for what they believe that is true. Venus in Aries can be a little hot-headed, can be a bit untamed, and sometimes it can be a bit impulsive and kind of in your face. So that is, of course, like I said, energy go both ways. There's always the shadow and light attribute, but in the light sense, Mercury in Aries is the courage, the passion that you need in order to speak and stand up for what you believe is true. So sometimes we do need that. For people that is more introverted or more shy, this Mercury in Aries can definitely give you a little confident boost, this courage boost that allow you to speak your truth, to say it like it is, and to put your voice out there. But of course, also need to be mindful not to be impulsive or say something, but then later on, like, find out that, oops, I didn't mean it, or that's not what I meant, or that's not how I wanted to come out. Especially we are already in the pre-shadow of Mercury retrograde. You do need to be mindful with this Mercury in Aries energy that might backfire. On March 5th, we have Mercury in Aries sextile Pluto in Aquarius. So this can be a day where you have some very interesting, profound conversation. This can be some really deep conversation that you have with someone that really give you some insight or knowledge or information that is helpful. This can also be a day where you are speaking your truth with evidence to back you up, right? Because we have that Mercury in Aries that is unafraid to speak your truth, stand up for what you believe in. And then we have that Pluto in Aquarius that is very inquisitive, having all the research and evidence in the background already to back you up. So this is definitely a day where it feels like if you have a court case, maybe I'm only speaking to one of you here, like if you need to go to court, if you want to, like, I don't know, present something that have evidence to back it up, right? Like present an idea or a product or whatsoever. This is a great day to do so because of the sextile. This can also be a great day to do some research work if you want to, go into a rabbit hole and deep dive into some research. This is a great day to do so as well. Lastly, March 7th, we have the Sun in Pisces trine Mars in Cancer. So this is really nice because Mars stationed direct recently in Cancer. Even though Mars is still pretty much not moving much, it's very, very slow. It's not even moving out of the degree that is stationed just yet, but at least it's direct, so that's nice. So this water trine with Sun in Pisces, Mars in Cancer can be more of an internal motivational day today. This can be a day where you might feel like, the energy is starting to come back a little bit. You feel like there's a momentum coming back. You're having your mojo back. You're feeling a little bit more motivated. You feel like you can start to get the ball rolling and gather some momentum and maybe have a power boost to really get something done today. So if you feel like you've been, a bit sluggish, many of us do because of Mars retrograde, you feel like you need an energy boost today, you need to really just get going. This is the day where maybe you can really schedule things to be done on that day and get it done. So this is this week. I know it's quite a lot because of Venus retrograde. So just take care of yourself and others, yeah. Now let's take a look at the collective message. This time I just picked an oracle card for the collective message, and I really like this card. It's card 30, TikTok. So very interesting. We talk about retrograde, we talk about Venus retrograde and the upcoming Mercury retrograde, and TikTok is all about time. But how interesting, we're talking about retrograde, like time going back, things from the past might come up. There's a lot of intertwined movement that is coming up. Like the past might come up into the present, and the present might be blurry because of the past, and all this has some kind of things to do with time in some way, shape or form. But actually, when you think of time, it's very interesting, right? Time is something you can't touch, you can't feel, you can only be in, right? And you can't go back to the past. The past might come back, but you cannot go back to the past. You can't go forward into the future as well because it's not here yet. So the only thing you can really do when it comes to time is really just be here. Be in this moment, this second, right here, right now, because that's all you can have. That's all you can control. It's right here, right now. So yes, even though Venus retrograde might bring things from the past up into the forefront, it might bring the past back to maybe haunt some of you, to or to tell you how far you've come. Just know that sometimes we can't control of how everything happened. How, if I could have just go back to the past, I can fix this, or if only I can fast forward to the time so I can skip this. I don't want to experience this right now. Knowing that you can't do that. The only thing you can do is to be here in this present moment, to make the most out of it. Whether this is accept what is happening, embracing what is happening, and also knowing that you have the power to choose again, to act differently, to choose differently, right? So I don't know, it's quite interesting that this card came up. I hope the message resonate with someone. And then from the Moonology, we have last quarter moon in Scorpio, review what needs to be seen. Very, very true. I am sure this Venus retrograde and this upcoming Mercury retrograde will really unfold some information for some of us, whether this is about certain relationship in your life, certain value belief system that is no longer aligned with you, or some situation that, you know, we just really cannot neglect or put aside. We need to deal with it. And then we have last quarter moon in Libra. Make time for self-love. Yes, March is a very big month, lots of energy, quite chaotic, pretty crazy, but make sure you make time for self-love. Take care of your energy. When you pour back into your cup, that is when you can pour into others as well. So no matter what you're navigating through, know that you're not alone. I hope this message helps in some way, shape or form. Comment below, let me know how you find it. And if you're interested, if you want to work with me, you know, if you want to have any astrology, tarot, akashic records consultations, email me. My information in the description box below. In the meantime, sending you all so much love, and I'll see you next time.